3 years later, 3 years down the line, parenting in Nigeria versus parenting in Canada. I think I parented in Nigeria for at least 6, 7 years before I came to Canada, and I've parented in Canada for the last 3 years. What are the difference? Are there any differences? Which one do I prefer? I'm a mom of 3 kids. My eldest is 10, my middle child is will be 7, and my youngest is 4. When I say these ages to people here, maybe in conversation on my workplace, and somebody is asking, "Oh, do you have kids?" And I say I have 3. How old are they? When I tell them the ages, they're like, "Oh, you are in the busiest season of your life." And indeed, guys, it's been a busy season of my life. And that will be my first point of this video. But before we get to the point, welcome to the channel, guys. How are you guys doing? Today I'll be welcoming the team Spurs first. If you are returning team Spurs, thanks for being here. You're amazing. Thanks for your support. And if you're seeing my pretty face for the first time, thanks for being here. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you find it worth your while. I hope you find it worth your time. I encourage you to look at other videos on this channel. I think I have over 600 videos on this channel. Check it out. You'll find something you will like. You will love. My name is Chrissy, and on this channel I film content around my faith and our lifestyle in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada as immigrants. If any of this sounds like what you might be interested in, feel free to hit the subscribe button and turn on notification bell so you don't miss subsequent videos. Thank you. Let's get into this video. Remember I said that when I tell people the ages of my children, they say you're in the busy season. One difference for me between when I was raising my kids in Nigeria and right now is how busy this season is for me. You know how it is to go for activities that is not your concern. Like all you are going to be doing in this activity is just sit down and look, or in fact maybe sit down and press your phone, because it's actually some of these activities are actually things that does not like you don't have any inputs except bring the child, maybe pay for the activity, bring the child, when the child is done, take them back home. For example, I can, in a week for me as a mom of 3 kids, in a week for me, I think the only days we don't have anywhere to go in 7 days of a week is just 2 days. 2 days of 2 days of the week is when we don't have any activity. 5 days in the week, there's somewhere to go. There's something to do. If you are not going for swimming lessons, we are going for Bible club. If you are not going for Bible club, we are going for extra lessons. If we are not going for extra lessons, I can tell you, it's just 2 days in the week that I'll come back from work and there's nothing to do. I'm just, bonding after work, or maybe going to take a rest. Like, it is very busy. And the difference is in Nigeria, which activity? There are no activities that most of the activities will be activities around church, around school, around outing, family outing, and all that. I know that there will be families in Nigeria that register their kids, but even if you registered your kids for some families have their kids in soccer, some families have their kids in basketball, some in hockey, all these kind of activities, and you have to take the kid. How else will a 10-year-old get to where they are going to be doing their lessons and their Bible club things? You have to take them. Nigeria, I know there will be some families that are also busy, but I know that as busy as they are, it cannot be as every day in the week. Tell me, almost every day in the week, you have somewhere to go. 5 days in a week, there's somewhere to go. In 7 days, there's somewhere to go. I do this. And so, like, the first difference is that it's busier for me here as a parent than it was for me when I was in Nigeria. Like, yeah, I already had my 3 kids before we left Nigeria, so it's not like I had more children here. That's why it's busy. No, it's because of all the activities I have to take your kids to. You want your kids to. You don't want them to only know about school and your family. You want them to also be exposed to these things. For example, swimming is a sport you want your children to also have some knowledge of, in case there's anything to do with water. and they need to swim. If they don't learn how to swim, how will they swim? Those are like life skills, like cooking, swimming. That's my thoughts. Like cooking, swimming is also something your children should know how to do, because anything can happen, and they have to maybe swim out of a dangerous place, or for whatever reason they need to learn how to swim. But that was not something I thought of when I was in Nigeria. I did not register them for any extracurricular activities. If the activities is not in the school, forget about it. So it's busier for me than it was when I was in Nigeria. It is way busier. The second difference I've noticed between parenting in Nigeria and parenting in Canada is the community. And when I say community, I know I've made videos about or I've seen a lot of videos talking about community relating to adulthood, and having a community so that you are not lonely. I've also realized that as a parent, one of the things I'm also looking out for when I'm building community is also community that my children will also benefit from being a part of. So that is one thing, building community that my kids will also benefit, that my kids will also, gain because we are a part of it. Another thing is, in when we are talking about community, is how, before a child will misbehave and forget the house and forget the home training, there's always somebody in the community that can call the child to order to say, are you not the child of I'm not the child of Baba Olagbegi. You will even think of somebody catching you in a bad situation, and that will tell you, is your father not the deacon in Kineko Kineko? Is your mother not? Is it not? There were such communities that can, help call your child to order if for some reason they are not behaving right. Or even, the aunties, sometimes we say that these aunties are, they don't mind their business. But at the same time, some of the trainings they gave some of us, it's not your mom, but one auntie is looking at you one kind when you're trying to do something wrong. That auntie, the eyes of that auntie is enough to call you to order, as much as the eyes, in fact, maybe not as much, because you fear your mother more than you fear the auntie. But you're also afraid of, let this auntie not go and report me to my mother, so you want to behave. Like that community where children can be called to order. It is not just you ensuring that your children are, being taught good morals, your children are behaving right, your children are having the right values to live by. It is not just you back home in Nigeria, but here, guys, the community is afraid. The community is afraid, though. Before they go and help you to community your child, and you come and show them pepper or show them shaggy, the community is afraid. The community is not interested in helping you. No, 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 no. It's okay. Your child is behaving badly. It's all right. It's okay. If you cannot call your child to order, nobody is going to help you to call your child to order. The community is afraid of being, what's the word? Of being dragged in the mud. The community here does not. I know that there were also some people that dragged community in the mud in Nigeria, but the community in Nigeria will say, even if you like, drag me in the mud, this one, your child was wrong, and I'm gonna tell you you're a child of. But yeah, the communities are, I beg, don't go and call police on top of matter that is not my concern, because they can call police to say, why are you helping me to raise my child? So communities are afraid. Yeah, there is no community that wants to help you to correct your child, because they are not sure how your reaction will be to that. And we've had cases of some Nigerians going to school here to go and shout on the teachers, and because of the number of Nigerian parents that have gone to, yeah, I'll tell you that in a bit. I've had a situation where I had to go see the teacher for something that was happening with my child. But I went with the mindset of listening to having a conversation, not just me going to scream the school down to say this happened, why or there have been stories of Nigerian parents going to the school to go and shout on the teachers in the school. And for some reason they have tagged the Nigerian parents as, is either that not a lot of them are coming for parent three-way conferences. That's what we know as open day. It's either we are known for not coming, but I think a lot more Nigerians are turning up for three-way conferences. It's either that we are not turning up for three-way conferences, or when we have a reason to come to the school, we are coming to shout down the school, which is something we need to correct. If a parent have gone to shout down the school because of your child, yes, and the reason I'm saying this is because I know that the situation that made you go to the school may be something that was not palatable, but at the same time, you were going to talk to an adult, and if the person you spoke to was not going to help you, there's a school board, there's always a means to air your opinion without having to scream, or scream on somebody. I remember that there was a time my child had a case of two people in his class bullying him, and I was trying to manage the situation at home. I was trying as much as I can not to come off as the aggressive because that's not what I want. I don't want my child to be seen as the child of the aggressive mommy. So I was trying to see if those things he was complaining about were things we could still, what did he do? Okay, don't ignore him or something like that. But it got to a point I said, oh no, it has gotten too far. I needed to book an appointment with the principal. And we had a conversation. It was the principal was a man. They've changed him now. He's a woman now. It was so chill about it. We had a very nice conversation. And after that conversation, my child actually attested to the fact that, things changed. The people that were bullying him, they stopped. I don't know what he told them. I didn't meet the people that were bullying him. I went to the principal. And that conversation brought up a positive change. I didn't have to shout. So even if what you're going to the school to complain about is something that is affecting your child, not shouting is not the way to get it. In fact, it may label your child as maybe it's even the child that is problematic. They'll feel like, oh, he's coming from a family that has anger issues. So maybe it's the one that is problem or something. So I'm just saying, if you are a parent that has the tendency of going to the school of your child to shout, please pipe it down. And so, yeah, I was talking about community and all that, and community is afraid here because if you can go to a Canadian school to go and shout, who am I? Ordinary auntie in the area, or ordinary auntie in the church, So the community is afraid of booting out in your matter. So that community is also not as much as we had it in Nigeria. The third difference, guys, between raising my child in Nigeria and raising my child here in Canada is how much of vices my kids, especially the ones that are going to school, are exposed to. The one in daycare is still, shielded because daycare, as much as possible, their ages, even if there is any vices, it will be done hush hush, But the ones in school, imagine a grade 4 student coming home to tell his parents that he saw somebody vaping. In fact, when he came, when he came home to tell the mother, I think the mother was not even sure what vaping was. Like grade 4, that's like primary 4. Primary 4 students smoking, basically. And they were doing it in the school washroom. So to an extent, it's not like something that they were hiding. The children here, my children that are in school, are more likely to relate with children from homes of same-sex parents. There's a likelihood that in their what's it called, in their elementary school, there will be at least one child that will be from the home of the same-sex parents. They're exposed to that. In Nigeria, that's something that you will hardly hear that, oh, I have two fathers or I have two mothers. It's not something that is, like widely. The kids here are exposed to a lot more things that you will have to explain, that you have to talk more, that you have to they're exposed to a lot more things that will require you to have continuous conversations with your kids than we had in Nigeria. Yes, there were vices even in the primary schools in Nigeria, but there were not things that were it was hush hush. It was like any school that you even hear of such, like, what kind of taking the parents that are even still taking their children to that school, what are they looking at? But here, Some of these vices, like the parents can even come and ask you, okay, my 4-year-old is their 4-year-old is smoking. What's your problem about it? They can say you are discriminating. Why are you? What is it? Is it the vaping where it's affecting people? Like they can always find a way to talk, to argue their way out of some of these things that you think should be hidden, to say that it should be in exposed place, it should not be hidden. And it's required this exposure to much more things required that I needed to have to keep having conversations, which was not, yeah, I was having conversations, but it's not as much as this. And even in the conversations, the kind of things that I have to explain is not as deep. It's not as profound as the kind of things I have to talk about here. The other day I was just listening to them talk, because sometimes they have conversations and I just listen to what they are saying. And my youngest was saying that, oh, um there's boy hearings, and I'm like, boy, God, what is and I have to say, there's no boy hearing. Earrings are for girls. Yeah, in my house, earrings are for girls. Boys don't wear, and those are kind of, so that those are things they see like almost every day. They see boys that wear earrings. So it's not enough to just tell them no in my house. Yeah, maybe maybe that will be part of the argument, but it's not enough to tell them in my house. You need to have, now, because of the environment where we live, I have to look for more arsenal to be able to meet up with the kind of questions they will ask, the kind of conversations they have amidst themselves. I have to put button, or I have to shook my mouth inside and say, no, that's not right, this is the right thing to do. Like, it's a lot. That's one difference. Some things that when that are the rate at which they're exposed to things that at their ages in Nigeria will not be a lot, will not be, things that you'll be bothered about, is a difference that I'm experiencing in my 3 years of parenting here. The other difference, guys, I've noticed is that, so my eldest was in what class was he? I think he was in primary two, as at the time we left. He had was in primary two. And I remember that, he was reading, it was in terms of catching up on things, in terms of the rate, the speed of education, it was at a higher level than it was compared to my child that is in primary two now. But one thing I noticed is the rate at which they expose them to some things is not the same rate at which they expose them to some things in Nigeria. What do I mean? So the other day, my grade two daughter, that's primary two daughter, had to present, guys, she had to present in front of her class, talk about what she wanted to, she decided what she wanted to present, right? She talked about it, explained it, and then she needed to ask if there were anybody that had questions. And the plan was people must ask questions. Like, that's part of I think there's a grading system or so. I don't know how it works, but you must ask questions. So they made videos of the presentation, and she had to make this presentation in French because she's attending French immersion. And they made video, you must ask questions. So because the reason I knew you must ask questions was because there were some of the students that were asking the same so that me too, I will ask questions. They were asking the same questions at that that somebody had asked before. So the teacher was saying, no, somebody had asked that, you need to ask another question. And my daughter, primary two students, grade two, had to stand and respond to them all in French. And I was like, wow, woo. In my days, we did not present until we were in university. Some of us did not present until we were in our final year in school. And we were nervous to what? I was not nervous because I've always been a talkative. I remember that there was one lecturer that, let me not talk about that lecturer because it made me have a B in my project. But like, imagine a grade two student, primary two, presenting, taking questions, answering them, not in English, in French. And I was like, oh, I don't know what the education system is like right now, or maybe it depends on the kind of school. But the school my son was attending, it was a private school, but I not remember that they asked him to present anything. They used to come on with a lot of assignment, but actually stand in front of your class members to present, talk about something, explain it to them, and take questions regarding that which you have just presented. Primary two looks like, and that exposure, I cannot complain about it. And that is another thing I've noticed. The education, the rate at which they're expected to do something. Yeah, some of the things there. So I say that in the Canadian education is building more of life skills than memorizing things. For example, at in primary two already, there were like, maybe you must know as much as the multiplication table up to 7 times, like 7 times whatever. Like in primary two, I think I can't, but I remember that my son was really, ahead in maths, in English, he was already reading. But is my daughter is reading too now, but it's not as the speed that my son was already reading before we got here. So there's a difference in the school structure, in the school system. But I see that the Canadian structure is building more of life skills, presentation, building your confidence, facing the crowd as early as 7 years old. Okay, let's go to the next one. Another thing I've noticed that is a difference in the parenting between being in Nigeria and here is because of the different kinds of cultures we are exposed to here, you also have a lot more questions to answer. The second thing, it's a point I've spoken about earlier is different vices, but now different cultures. In Nigeria, all is either a child is from a Christian home, a Muslim home, or a traditionalist home. But here, you have all kinds of religion, all kinds of structure, all kinds of, and that also requires that because of the kinds of things that the child is exposed to, you also need to ensure that you keep, or I also needed to ensure that, or I am still doing it. I also need to ensure that all like constantly reiterating the values from my own culture that I do not want them to forget, because there are a lot of cultures around them. There are a lot of, around us. There are a lot of cultures, a lot of different kinds of background, different kinds of structures. And so it's easy for them to just sponge, grab everything and forget, or the culture or the values I want them to still hold there will become extinct or something because they've soaked up a lot of things. Yes, I want them to learn other cultures. I want them to learn a lot of more important values. But at the same time, there are some values, there are some cultural beliefs that I find to be good that I still want them to hold on to. And because of these other like lots of cultures they're exposed to, I need to keep reiterating that one, or those values that I do not want them to forget. One other difference between parenting in Nigeria and parenting in Canada, guys. This one, I've thought of it. Sometimes I'll think about it, I'll carry my mind away. I'll think about it, I'll quickly come out of the thoughts. And it's the acceptance that my kids could come home with a partner that is not an African. That was not a thought that I had in Nigeria, because some of us, almost all of us, like the highest you can do is either you bring home somebody from that is Igbo or Hausa that is not Yoruba, right? That's the highest. That is it. But it's still a Nigerian. But here I am gradually coming to terms with the fact that my child can actually come home with somebody from Philippines, somebody from America, somebody from where? Ghana, somebody from anywhere, to say, oh, this is the person they want to get married to. And sometimes when I think of that, As much as I'm trying to be cool about it, sometimes it scares me because I know it shouldn't scare me because these are not, at the end of the day, from everything I've spoken about, I'm raising my child with the right values, with the right cultures, with the right, lot of things. And I'm also praying that God will direct them. So I shouldn't be afraid because it is God that will lead them. Whoever, it's not only Nigerians that have good morals, it's not only Nigerians that are Christians, it's not only Nigerians that will make good partners. But I know there's still this part of me that wants to be like, oh. So I'm coming to terms with the fact that, yeah, that can happen. Yeah. So that's also a difference between parenting in Nigeria and parenting in Canada. So if you are in any diasporic country as an African, what are the differences you've noticed in your parent, or even if it's not you, maybe you didn't have a child until you got to the diasporic place. What is the difference you've noticed in the parenting styles in Nigeria and the parenting style in the Western community you have found yourself right now? Share with me in the comments. And what are your thoughts about the differences I've spoken about? What do you think about them? Is there one that I shouldn't have, that shouldn't have been like a big deal to me? What do you think? Share with me in the comments. Is there any of these differences that resonate with you? Let me know in the comments. Let's have a conversation. Thank you guys for watching. Until we see you in the next video. Bye.